Y'all dealing with the king. If you want to come and get it, let the outlaw get you out your seats. You want sports talk, politics? He don't give a shit. Rocha says speaks, follow it. About to issue y'all a masterclass. You want to pass? Gunslinging the new podcast, the candy ass. Grab a toss bench, get information. It's your boy John Rocha. Welcome to the Outlaw Nation.
All right, welcome everybody to this episode of the Outlaw Nation. Once again, you are riding with me to work this morning because it's been a crazy couple of weeks and just trying to find the right time to do this. It happened just fall right here where I'm driving to work. This won't be probably too long of an episode, so if you're looking for in-depth analysis of today's issues and sports-related topics, I'm going to do my best. You know, in the limited amount of time that we have. So just to let you know, that's the situation. Hope you all are doing well. How's your week going? Right? It's if you're listening to this as it's coming out, which is probably today, Thursday, because I'm recording it this morning as I drive to work. I hope you all have been having a good week. And if you're not having a good week, hope you're finding ways to get through it. You know, listen, a good book, rewatching a movie or a TV episode, or come falling back on passages from whatever spiritual scriptures or books that you gravitate to are really important. That's like essential for you. So I hope you're doing all that if you're not having the greatest week, and I hope you're being patient with yourself and giving yourself a break and understanding that this is a process, not a destination. It's a journey, not a destination. Always understand that. Oh, great. Awesome. So a motorcycle guy's next to me. As if there's more reason to have a little bit of struggle in doing this, we'll get to listen to a motorcycle guy coming right next to us. Anyway, all right, so it's been an interesting couple of weeks with everything going on at Collider, because we're getting ready to head on off to New York for New York Comic-Con. We'll be there for 6 days, I think, from the 3rd through the 9th. And we'll be covering all the panels, streaming all the panels out of the 3 rooms. And there's a 4th room, but I think a Hammerstein Ballroom, we're not going to be able to do anything out of that. So we'll have to wait on that. I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing, going out of there. We're going to have a meet and greet Thursday night. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but we'll have a meet and greet on Thursday night somewhere. I'm sure it'll be announced soon. And of course, we'll have a movie talk panel if you guys are coming to attend in New York. We'll have a heroes panel, so there'll be a number of things where you can see Collider people and come and talk to Collider people and what have you, and some of the schmoes as well. And speaking of the schmoes, this show is on the Schmoes No Plus podcast channel, which they were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to put Outlaw Nation on here. There's a lot of great shows here: the Wanger Show, After Beardo, the Don't Be a Beardo Show, After Schmo Show, the Schmodown Rundown, and of course the Top 10 Show every Tuesday. If you guys haven't listened to the newest episode of the Top 10 Show, that is Top 10 Whistleblower Movies. Matt and I really got excited for the trailer about Mark Felt that Liam Neeson stars in, and we thought this would be a fun topic that we've never covered to explore on the Top 10 Show. And, it ended up being a really fun conversation and one of our longest episodes we've had since we came back. It's an hour and 45 minutes, so I was pretty surprised at how long we went. Anyway, so there, go download that if you haven't and listen to that. All right, so obviously the big news of the week. Oh, great, another motorcyclist. So I'm sorry you're going to hear two crotch rockets going on really loudly. A third one. Oh, it's a scooter this time. Awesome. Ciao. If you guys remember the Eddie Izzard sketch. Ciao. And not to be outdone, there's a bicyclist on my other side of the car. So there we go. All right. So anyway, as I was about to start here, the big news going on this week is all the stuff with the NFL and Trump and the kneeling situation. Some of you may know, and you've probably seen me if you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, or on Facebook. I comment that I am an 8-year veteran of the Army, the U.S. Army. I served from 1990 to 1998. And so my feeling about this whole thing is there's a lot more to this situation and the kneeling and what's happening than people are letting on and then people are talking about. And by that I mean it isn't just Colin on one knee who started this whole revolution, right? Or this whatever it is that's happening now, this whole protest, right? Which I don't have an issue. Listen, I served for freedom of speech. I don't take no one's kneeling, no one's messing with the flag affects my love of my country, affects my love of the flag, and my time in the service. It doesn't insult my time in the service. And I understand why people feel the way that they feel if it does insult them or if they do hate it. Like, I totally get their point of view, and obviously I don't think they're wrong to feel the way that they feel, because that's one of the great things about our country. We're allowed to feel as we wish about certain situations. So there's a lot of people on both sides. A lot of luminaries have come out, and like Bill Russell tweeted a picture of himself on one knee. For those of you who remember, Bill Russell's an accomplished athlete who marched for civil rights in the 60s. He was a member of the Boston Celtics he won 11, 12 championships with them. So in a number of some older Army vets from World War II have gone down on one knee and taken pictures of themselves, finding connection and camaraderie with these people who are kneeling at the NFL games. And the thing is, and this is what's interesting, and this is why I think this is deeper than what people think, right? Colin, at first, when he first started this protest, like last year, he sat down during the anthem, right? It's sit-ins. We see this, civil rights people sit down. They sat down with Martin Luther King. They sat down in these. Gandhi had this through India, which is where Martin Luther King got the inspiration from. Is these protests of nonviolence. Sitting down is a nonviolent thing. But after he spoke with this gentleman, I think his name is Mr. Charles I can't remember. Boyer, I know, is the last name. But he had written him a letter, Colin a letter, and Colin and him had this incredible conversation. And Boyer suggested, why don't you kneel instead of sit? Because what we do when a serviceman has died in action is we fold the flag and then we kneel and give the flag to the relative, to the closest relative, whether it be immediate family or outer family. And so why don't you do that? So that way you're still honoring the people who have served this country, and you're still protesting with the way some of the systemic injustice that you believe is occurring in these institutions in our country are handling their treatment of people of color. And so this was, to me, in my mind, this is how it should be. Two intelligent people having a conversation, both people seeing the other point of view, and then one person acquiescing or compromising a little bit to make the protest even more respectful but still firm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Part of a protest is not always like, I got it right the first time. Part of protest is figuring out, you initially protest, but then you figure out the best way to protest. You figure out the right way to protest. You figure out a way that has the most amount of effect in the least amount of offense. That's the most important thing. Because you don't want to piss off 3/4 of the people. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. You got to really appeal to people, right? If you do your research on civil rights, the reason things started to change in this country the way they did back in the 60s is because people started to see what Bull Connor and what these southern police forces were doing with their hoses in spraying these black protesters who were just protesting peacefully for civil rights. And they were doused with hoses and attacked and beaten and all kinds of things that occurred, And once again, this is my thing. I'm not choosing a side here in terms of like, a protester good, police bad. No, this is a way more complex situation than people want to give it credit for, because they need to fit it into their 140 character world. And that's not what this is all about. That's not how this is going to work with this issue. There's a lot of legitimate concerns that people of color have with the police, with other forces or systemic forces in this country. And there's nothing wrong with them wanting to highlight what they feel is a situation that's occurring. It's bringing it up for conversation. It's bringing it up for analysis. And one of the greatest things we have ever done in this country is to question our people of power, be questioned. People who didn't like Obama questioned Obama for 8 years. People who didn't like George Bush questioned him for 8 years. People who didn't like Clinton questioned him. People who don't like Trump now question him. That's what we do best as Americans. This is one of the things we do best as Americans is we analyze, investigate, question, and want to have a system of checks and balances in place because we never want to become a tyrannical country, a country ruled by a tyrant or a despot. This is not who we are built to be as Americans. We value our freedoms too much. Our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom of the press, freedom of the Second Amendment. There's all kinds of freedoms that we have in this country and rights that we have in this country that we value. And so when you're looking at something like this, you're just looking to say, hey, this is happening in alarming numbers. It's unsettling to us. We want someone to take a look at it. We want a analysis of this. We want research done. We want to figure out why this is happening. It isn't, destroy the police. It isn't that at all. It's like we need to weed out these people who are doing incorrect things. And if you love the police, to me, it just makes the most sense that you don't want people walking around with a weapon and authority and a badge and a stick who are going to misuse that authority in violent ways, in hurtful ways, in ways that will leave people without fathers, brothers, and sons, and sometimes daughters and wives and mothers. And this is something that you don't want to have happen by the people who are in charge. Now, I'm not some Pollyanna who's walking around thinking all black people do all the right things and all people of color, they're always innocent. No. Every race has bad people in it. Every race has criminals in it. Every race causes problems. But if there's something to be taken a look at here, then I think there's nothing wrong with opening the door up to analysis and investigation and exploration of why this is happening. Because we are a better country when we do that. We always march forward, whether some elements of the country like it or not, we always progress forward on everything. Women and the right to vote, civil rights, now with the LGBTQ rights, with trans rights. Like everything is happening now everything happens in a more progressive way in our country. That's just how we're built. Yes, we still have a conservative, puritanical nature to us in our foundation, but there's also this element of wanting to be the best we can be as a country, to be a symbol of inspiration and goodness in the world. That's what we want to be. There's this very strong element. Yes, should we be strong? Should we defend our borders? Should we not be attacked? Should we be able to have a defense system or defense that keeps us alive as a nation? Absolutely. Do we need good police walking the streets to make sure we're all safe? Absolutely. But that's the key. Good police, right? We don't need people who are planting guns. We don't need people who are running after unarmed people, then shooting them in the back, and then planting guns on them. We don't need that. And those are the things that need to change. You rarely, if ever, hear stories about white people being accosted by black police officers, do you? It's rare, if ever, that you hear any stories like that. And I know that if black police officers all of a sudden started having issues with white motorists and were pulling them over in extreme amount of numbers, were chasing them because they look like another white criminal, or shooting them in routine traffic stops while they're unarmed, people would go insane. So this is all that the kneeling is about exploring what is happening in this country. It's not saying the flag sucks or this country sucks or the people in power sucks. It's saying in a very peaceful way. They're not burning the flag. They're not ripping the flag to pieces. They're not wearing it like a poncho like a certain someone likes to wear during his concerts. They're just saying we kneel to the flag because we need this issue highlighted. We want to bring attention to this issue. That's all. And I think that's for those of us who are, analytical people, intelligent people, there's nothing wrong with taking a look at something like that. I mean, that's how we get better. That's how you get better in a microcosm world of your life, not a nation, just you as a person. You know that if people come up to you and tell you, hey, this thing that you're doing over and over again, I don't like it, or it hurts my feelings, or I think you're being unfair, or you're hurting people who care about you or people who depend on you, then you take a look at that and you fix it. And you do either analysis or do therapy or do whatever, and you go, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Let me fix it. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. And I'm sure the people coming to you saying to you in a peaceful way, hey, listen, this is bothering me or this is upsetting me. Can you fix this? Or can you take a look and look, here are your other friends who feel the same way. Like, can you fix this about yourself, or can you correct this, or can you take a look at this and give it some analysis? And you do that, don't you? Because it's people that you care about. Well, these are our citizens. These are our fellow citizens bringing this up for a conversation, right? And I think we owe it to them to have the conversation, to have an intelligent analysis of this situation and come out of it in a better way as a country. And I think it's important. And of course, Trump is, because Trump loves nothing but division. Trump loves nothing but stirring people up. And listen, I'm not trying to, if you voted for him and you're listening to me, that I respect that you have every right to vote for him. You're an American in this country. You have every right to vote for him. But I have every right to feel how I feel about it as well. And the way I feel about it is that I think he enjoys division. He enjoys creating problems between people, because this is his playbook of how to stay in power. This is his playbook of making people choose sides, pushing people into extremes. Rather than creating unity, he creates division. And he needs division, because division is the only way that he's going to rile people up so hard on one side of the political spectrum to vote for him, or to support his policies, because he paints people on the other side in such a negative way, in such a black and white way. And nothing is black and white. No issue, almost no issue in this country is black and white. There are too many things that are involved. And I think that's where people seem to forget. People seem to be forced into these extremes, and that's where we have to do better as a populace. We have to not let him do that to us. And we have to work harder, because remember, you watch those old movies, what are they about? They're about unity. They're about confronting these issues that are separating us and finding a way out. One of the greatest lessons our founding fathers ever gave us was the Constitution. You know, there were a lot of senators from the South who wanted certain things in there. There were a lot of senators from the North who wanted things in there, and senators in the middle of the country, not middle of the country in terms of the Midwest, but middle of the country like Virginia, Delaware, that side, middle of the eastern side of the country, who were part of the Constitution, Congress wanted to have resolution of the Constitution and had to take certain things out and put certain things in to make it pass in a unanimous way. And that's the thing. We had to do it unanimously. And that's an example for all of us, right? And yeah, you can go back and say, well, there's some of them were slave owners, some of them were not slave owners, some of them were fervently against slavery. And that's the thing. But it's finding a way to have compromise in order to survive as a nation. And we're losing that. I think we're losing that in such strong ways. And we elect someone who's going to create even more division, and he's doing it. And with this issue with the NFL and kneeling, he did it again. And that's what really breaks my heart a little bit, because I love my country. I love my flag. I love my time in the service. And I love that I get to live in this country. Honestly, I love it to pieces. But this is the thing that bothers me about putting a guy like him in charge, because he makes you choose sides either for the country or against the country. And that's not what this is about. And he wraps himself in the flag and all this kind of stuff. It's all fake. In my opinion, it's completely and utterly fake. The man is absolutely about himself. He just wants to make money, just wants to leave some kind of ridiculously stupid legacy about himself. And it's incredibly frustrating and infuriating. We deserve a better president and leader than that guy, in my opinion, right? And you may feel differently, and that's your right, and I do not judge you for that. In my opinion, I feel like we deserve differently. We've earned better from the work we've done as human beings and citizens in this country. And so when you look at this whole idea of him going up against the NFL players and making these comments about the owners, and once again, he thinks he's the toughest guy in the room, when in fact he's the weakest guy in the room in real life, and he thinks all this bluster and all this quote unquote tough talk is real, and it's not. It's all fake. And if you do Psychology 101, you know this is an insecure, bruised ego who is trying to find power in pushing people around. And the truth is that it's fake. It's absolutely fucking fake. And I think there's going to come a moment where he's going to push the wrong person around and they're going to knock him the fuck out. Like, I just have no doubt that that's going to happen at some point. I just have a feeling about the way he's pushing things. He's waiting for someone to knock him the fuck out. Like, he's trying to push the boundaries like a child, right? He wants to push the boundaries as far as possible until someone does something. Anyway, so the analysis of this situation with him is that his health care bill was failing. His Alabama candidate he knew was on the ropes and wasn't going to win. And he had all this stuff that he was failing at, and all these things, the Russia thing, they're starting to tighten the screws even more. Mueller's going after Manafort. They're going into his IRS stuff. And so all of this in combination shows you a very weak president. So what does he do? He finds an issue, like he does every single time when things are getting tight for him. He finds some kind of issue to rally his base. And where does he go? He goes to Alabama, kind of a relatively small crowd from the crowds he was used to getting before the election, and does his whole thing, calls our American citizens sons of bitches as the president. As the president. Let that sink in. He's supposed to be the best of us. Yes, he's supposed to represent us. Yes, he's supposed to defend us and do what's best for us. But he's also supposed to be the best of us. And that's not a president that's the best of us who calls American citizens sons of bitches. It's not the best of us when he says stuff like that, when he does those actions, when he encourages owners to fire employees. You know, and I've heard this argument, well, I don't protest on company time. But you working in a regular job is not the same as an athlete on the field. There's a completely different situation going on there. You know, it's not the same thing as you clocking in every day at 8 a.m., getting your lunch, going home at 6 p.m. Like, it's nowhere near the same thing. And it's once again, it's false equivalency that you're trying to use in some vain attempt to remove the strength of the protest by saying things like, well, you won't catch me taking a knee job. But then again, you don't sing the national anthem at your job, do you? When you get to your job, you don't start the day with the national anthem, do you? So there's a difference. There's a difference in that situation. How many of you who are against or are for Trump might have gone on your knee or protested Obama while he was president as a way to protesting the flag, protesting the government through the flag, right? So there's certain ways. It's all a matter of circumstances and situations that you're in. And I think that's where you have to start to, go past just what you think and look at what the other person thinks. And that's what we used to do. Remember that phrase, walk a mile in my shoes? We used to want to walk a mile in other people's shoes so we could understand them better. When you're in a relationship with someone, your number one goal should be to understand that person, right? This is something I've learned myself, so I can say this from trial and error. Understand the person first. Not judge, not question, not investigate, not try to find what's wrong with them. Understand them. And then you can make a reasoned judgment whether this person is the right person for you for the rest of your life, for right now, or for a relationship, wherever you're at in your life. And it's no different, right? You see someone who is protesting, and if you want to create this patriotism, and I'm cool with it. Look, people are very patriotic, and I respect that, absolutely. If you're legitimately patriotic, I respect it 1,000%. I am. I love my country. I've never sat during the anthem. I've never, took my hat off and put it over my heart. I've never not done that. I've always respected the anthem in that way. And any sporting event or whatever. Now, have I heard people talking during the anthem? Hell yes. Have I seen people eating or buying food or sitting on their asses while the anthem is playing and talking while I'm at someone's house or watching it at my place when I have people over? Absolutely. So, isn't that disrespectful to the anthem as well? Is it not disrespectful because you're not directly kneeling or directly sitting? But the fact that you're just ignoring the anthem or just going getting through the anthem so you can get to the game? We got to be honest with ourselves, right? That's the number one thing is don't lose yourself in this idea of, it's offensive because of this. Explore first, and then you still can come to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? It still offends me, and I don't like it. I saw yesterday people are burning NFL jerseys, which I think is it's just for show. It's all for show. It's just like attention, attention, attention. And all for all the wrong reasons. See, people are kneeling now, and over 200 NFL players kneeled over the weekend. Why? Because Trump said the things that he said, right? Once again, creating division. And now people are burning jerseys and making huge statements on Twitter and, putting videos of themselves protesting and calling these people sons of bitches and saying you're insulting my grandfather's legacy or my best friend's legacy. And that's not it at all. They're asking you to take a look at this situation. And of course, the Trump White House is going to spin it and say, it's not about race, it's not about this, no, it's not true. You don't get to decide what this issue is about. The people who bring the issue forward, they're the ones who get to decide what this issue is about. You do not get to decide what this, nor do you get to co-opt it or decide for yourself what this issue is. The issue is legitimate, and people need to take a look at it, and we need to find out what the truth is. And we are better as a nation when we do. I can't stress that enough. We are better when we take a look at these situations that are causing our fellow citizens of gender or color or whatever orientation, sexual orientation, problems or issues or pain or hardships. We owe it to the better angels of our nature, as Lincoln called it, to take a look at this and fix it. Because that's also what we do the best as Americans, is fix things. Fix issues, and come out the other side and pass the right legislation and laws that help us. And we can do better. And I know we can. And I know we will. All right, so that's enough of that. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. The other thing is going on. All this stuff's going on with the news and all this stuff with movie stuff is going on. Like we got Blade Runner 2049 is about to come out. Are you excited for Blade Runner? I am. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I am going to do a 5-minute, everything you need to know about Blade Runner in under 5 minutes explainer video for Collider. I've been working on that this week, along with other things. I've been hosting TV Talk. Well, I'm going in for my second time hosting TV Talk today, which will be a lot of fun. I hope you all get a chance to watch us live every 11 a.m. for the next 3 weeks while Josh is off getting married this weekend on a honeymoon. For a couple of weeks after that, we're going to New York Comic Con, as I said. Starting to kind of look at possibly writing columns again, so that's going to be fun. I'll enjoy doing that. But are you guys excited about what's coming? Like Mark Hamill dropped a possibility that the Last Jedi, I think the trailer was going to drop soon, and they're talking about it during a Monday Night Football game. But I don't know which Monday Night Football game it's going to be. So we've got all this stuff that's happening. We're ramping up here, right out of TIFF, into the fall. These incredible movies are coming out. We had Frosty on yesterday on Movie Talk, and he was telling us all about these movies that he really loved coming out of TIFF. The Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman doing the Winston Churchill part. Margot Robbie with I, Tonya, the Tonya Harding film that's supposedly amazing and may get her an Oscar nomination. There's so many other films coming out that that we're going to get a chance to see real soon here in the next few months, and I'm super excited about it. And TV season is back. Things are starting to kick in, and hosting TV Talk, I have to be even more aware of the TV shows that are coming out and scheduling time to watch them, and so I'm looking forward to that. And then last night we had our Back to the Future screening, which was a lot of fun. Thank you to anyone who's listening. Thank you so much for coming out. Had a really great time meeting everybody. People you guys have just such amazing words of support and inspiration, and just really good words. And I can't thank you guys enough. And it's one of the greatest surprises of my life has been this career and this business and this industry, and getting to talk to you all and getting to hear your thoughts about the stuff we do at Collider, the stuff I do personally, and what you think I represent and what you feel like so connected to, and the words I speak or the things I do. And I just want to tell you all, thank you so much for that, because as inspiring as some of you admit that I am to you, you are to me as well when you say those words. I mean, there's no way to go home and not feel just very good that you're doing, that you're doing the right work. You're doing the work that you really want to do, and people are liking it and noticing, and it means a lot. Validation and support is essential, I think, for all of us, to be honest with you. And this business can be crazy. So it's nice to know that you're touching people and affecting people in a good way. And so I appreciate all the words, and a lot of fun, a lot of pictures last night, a lot of ball busting, a lot of joking about Back to the Future, about Calvin Klein, about all of that. So I took those hits. Willingly. That's kind of, that comes with the territory when you do the Schmodown. And yeah, things are ramping up for the Schmodown as well. I have my first round competitor, Jason Inman. Well. Jason Inman, number one, Riker. Well. It's going to be me and him. Look, I love Jason to pieces. I'm a big fan of Ashley, his wife, as well. Ashley Victoria Robinson. You should follow both of them on Twitter. They're incredibly intelligent people who know so much about the geek culture, and they're fun to follow and fun to have conversations with. But yeah, they're it's Jason and I. We're going to see what's happened. So it's going to be a tough match. I look forward to it. We'll see what happens. And Matt and I are having conversations about what we're going to do for the team stuff, because we really want to take on team action. Look, those guys, they brought the thunder and they beat us, for better or worse. You can argue the match, and I would argue the match till I'm blue in the face that they got every lucky break to beat us. But hey, sometimes it's the way the game works, and more power to them. They did it. Now they got to face above the line. That is no joke. I mean, Sam Levine is really coming on strong, and of course Drew McWeeny has always been strong. So it's going to be an interesting battle between
between those four people. And I don't know. I obviously I feel like Above the Line's going to win, but you never know with Team Action. They surprise you because those two guys are studying like crazy now, and they are really analyzing a lot of the movies that are being talked about mostly. Cause that's the thing. Skaliski, who does the questions for us, Chris, will betray his affinity for certain movies. And so if you're paying attention, you'll see numerous questions from certain movies and then hardly any questions from any other movies. Like, how many questions have you seen about Jaws? Maybe 2 or 3, tops? But then you see all these questions about Labyrinth and all of these questions about, like, The Sandlot and all these questions about these other films that you see rolling through the Schmodown. So those are things that we do as competitors as we analyze what movies are being focused on so that we can go home and study them and get more. Like me, I studied all the Back to the Future stuff. Like as soon as I lost that on the chemical, I was like, okay, there's probably going to be more questions about this trilogy that I've seen. Like I love the first movie. The second's okay. The third one's all right. The first one is the one, right? And so it's not a trilogy that's brought me back to watch it over and over and over again. And in watching it last night, yeah, there's just something really magical about watching Back to the Future on the screen and, enjoying it. Like, because I was 15 when that thing came out, or 14 when that thing came out. And so to see it again and enjoying it so much more with everyone who's like, and there were a few people there last night who hadn't seen it ever. And so that was a nice surprise. So to be able to spend some time doing that was a lot of fun and really enjoyed that. And so I look forward to our next screening. I look forward to more of that stuff that we're going to do in the future. So if you are in the LA area and you follow us at Collider, I'm sure there will be more screenings of stuff as we go along. So we shall see how it plays out and how we put it together. So we shall see. All right, I think that's it for this week. Unfortunately, I know, like I said, it was going to be a slow episode or not a long episode. But I just want to say one last thing, and that is congratulations to the commissioner, Christian Harloff. If you guys haven't heard, he had his second baby. It's pretty amazing. He posts pictures on Facebook yesterday and on Twitter. His beautiful little daughter. And so we are excited here at Collider. Kristen's going to take some time off to kind of work on that and kind of figure all that out. And so it's a great gift and a blessing. And the commissioner deserves it. The commissioner works hard. He should, enjoy the blessings of that work and the perks of that work, and take some time off and enjoy his time with his new child. And all of us are super happy for Christian, and especially those of us who've known him for such a long time. So congratulations, Commissioner. That's a beautiful child you've got there. I saw the pictures, and I wish you nothing but awesome times getting to know and connect with your newborn child all the more. All right, brother. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to me here on the Outlaw Nation. As always, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can also follow Matt Nost at Matt Nost if you like our top 10 stuff. You can listen to us on the SK Plus podcast channel. You can listen to me on the Cinephiles. Every Friday we drop a new episode, Cine-Files on iTunes. Me and Steve Morris, we drop a new episode. This week I think we're dropping Dr. Strangelove. Right. We figured with all the lunacy that's happening with North Korea and Trump that it was the time to talk about the lunacy of nuclear war. And so we analyzed one of the greatest comedies ever made, one of the greatest dark comedies ever made about one of the most serious subjects in our world for the last, 7 or 8 decades, nuclear war. And so we thought we'd take a look at it and analyze the Stanley Kubrick film. And we had a blast doing that. So you can go and download that on iTunes, the Cine-Files. We also did The Matrix, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And then last week, we did Conan the Barbarian. So the 1982 one with Arnold Schwarzenegger with one of our best friends, Dan Panosian, who is a comic book artist for Marvel and DC and a number of independent comic books. And he also has a new comic book coming out that he worked on with Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead. So Dan is a very in-demand guy. So for him to find time to hang out with us to talk about Conan the Barbarian was one of my favorite episodes and favorite experiences that I've had since I started podcasting. So I was so much fun. So go and download some and subscribe to the Cinephiles and do that. And subscribe to this channel as well, the SK Plus podcast channel, where we have a number of great shows, including what you're listening to now, Outlaw Nation, and The Wanger Show, and the Schmodown Rundown, and After Schmo, and the Top 10 Show. So go and subscribe, leave us comments, leave us ratings, support us, because we love listening to them. We love reading them, and we love seeing the stuff that you guys say. And, and sometimes we bring it up. You guys know we've brought up people's tweets on our shows before, so it's a lot of fun to do that. So thanks, everyone, again, and we will talk to you all next week on the Outlaw Nation.
Tonight, that girl's got no place to hide. I think I might start to ignite. Start to ignite.